What's up, guys? It's Mike Frank with Berkshire Hathaway coming to you again from our front conference room. Some painting happening in the back, and we're very close to being done. So excited to be show off our new spaces when we're all ready and done. But today I wanted to talk a little bit about wants versus needs in the real estate market and how to determine what makes sense for you and for your family, right? Before we run down that road, just keep an eye on your mailbox if you're a past client or in our sphere of influence. If you got peeps, or Michaela, if you didn't get peeps, shame on Liv, right? But alas, if you did get peeps, you should be getting a postcard or a letter in your inbox, so keep an eye out for that. Anyway, so wants versus needs. When you're shopping for a home, it's hard to determine what's important. How do we figure out what's important to us, especially when maybe we don't have a family or our family is new to the area or we're just not yet familiar with exactly what we want. Perhaps we've never bought a home before. How do you figure out what's a want versus a need? So let's break it down, right? A need is something that you have to have, right? For example, you have to have a house, right? Do you have to have a garage? Well, probably not, but perhaps that's a requirement depending on your needs, right? That's a need. It's a have to have. Wants. Like to have, right? So if you need a garage versus want a garage, those are two different things. Hey, we are live on Facebook, don't you know? Anyway, so if you have a want for a garage, that may not be a need, but it could become a priority, right? And so we want to break things down. So the trick to organizing our thoughts is probably creating that priorities list. So if we were to create a priorities list, let's just spitball and write a bunch of things down. A garage, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, renovated kitchen, maybe finished hardwood floors. Maybe the yard is important to us, or backing up to a forest or a conservation area as compared to backing up to a school. You got to figure out what's important to you and create that priorities list. Just start from the top to the bottom. And perhaps if you're in a relationship or you're doing this with a partner or a family member, you may want to do this together. So then you guys have your list of priorities and you could figure out what's most important and rank them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. So you could really start to create what is a need versus what is a want. Especially in this market, as we're getting so competitive, we may have to start scrubbing some of the things that we really, really want in order to accomplish the things that we really, really need. So by creating a priorities list, not only are we going to figure out exactly what we want, but we're also going to figure out exactly what's important to both partners or multiple partners in the process of buying a home. So as you're really taking a deep look and considering, one of the things that's the most difficult is really understanding what your money is going to buy you. If you haven't heard my favorite story about the indoor-outdoor pool, now is the time for me to tell it, but that's a story for a different day. Give me a shout and I'll reach out to you directly and tell you that story. But the point is that if you think that you can afford a 2-car garage, perhaps you can only afford a 1-car garage. If you think that your purchasing power is going to buy you a 5-bedroom home, perhaps once you sit down with your real estate agent and your lender, you realize that your purchasing power is more realistically going to buy you a 3 or a 4-bedroom home. It's going to be difficult for you to create this overwhelming sense of priorities without really sitting down and figuring out exactly what my power can do in the market. So you've created your priorities list, you've created your wants and your needs, and you've identified what's really important to you, but you haven't yet figured out where does that buy you in this marketplace. Can you get into XYZ community or zip code or area for all the wants and needs that you have for the price point that you can accomplish, right? Your purchasing power is such an important thing, and working with a lender, of course, surprise, that you trust to give you good advice and give you a straightforward answer and not be real devious about what you can afford is probably going to be more important than you might think, especially in a market like today when we're doing so many out-of-the-box things to compete with other homeowners. As we're trying to figure out what's important to the seller, we're also trying to accomplish the buyer's goal by identifying their wants and needs accordingly. It's also kind of tricky when you don't know what you don't know. So when you don't realize how easy it might be to put up a backsplash in a kitchen or paint some cabinets, you might not understand the difference between a $350,000 house and a $270,000 house. Or like our clients, Scott and Lisa, they might buy an $800,000 house, do some light renovations as we call it. Not saying that it was cheap or that they're basic renovations, but they're certainly not overwhelming knock down walls and drag down, tear out fights with their home. Scott and Lisa bought their home for $805,000 and they're seriously considering the potential of listing it for well over $1 million. So light renovations can be the type of thing that can overwhelm a buyer in the marketplace. It could certainly overwhelm your friends and your family as you're looking to impress on your priorities list. So perhaps that priority is that brand new renovated kitchen, but what if we could get that renovated kitchen vibe for a lower price point. So we could align your expectations with what the market would support, with what you can afford, with what you can do on your own DIY HGTV style, and create the opportunity to accomplish both your wants and your needs within your purchasing power. And so this is, again, surprise, surprise, why I'm going to recommend talking with a real estate agent that you trust, working with a mortgage lender that you have confidence in, and ultimately creating a plan to help you guys get to the finish line. Again, start with the plan, start with the priorities list, and go through, check the boxes, and do everything that you can to make your deal work. Ultimately, you want to make sure that it's painless, effortless, and in a competitive market, you could bring the best foot forward to the table. As always, we'll talk to you guys next week, and I thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for weekly content. Also, check out our social media pages. The links are in the description below. See you next week.